Hello, I'm Rick Torbett, and welcome to Better Basketball's Scoring Without the Ball. In order to build a basketball player from the ground up, we first have to lay down a foundation of skills: shooting, ball handling, passing, one-on-one defense. Then we use those abilities to learn how to attack and score one-on-one. Armed with those talents, most players think that they're equipped to play, but all they really have are skills with the ball. Considering that you spend 80% of your time on offense without the ball, it's only natural that your next step of development must be to learn how to play without the ball. I'm not talking about random movement without a purpose, but moves without the ball that set you up to score. And that's why our title is Scoring Without the Ball. Think about this. Isn't it easy to play defense against players who stand still and do nothing? They allow you to get in good helping position or to anticipate how you're going to steal the pass if it comes your way. On the other hand, don't you hate guarding the player who moves without the ball? You're constantly wondering, is my man about to rear cut me? Is he setting me up for a screen? Should I be denying or helping? If my man would just stand still, everything on defense would be easier. Now think about it. If you don't like guarding that kind of player when you're on defense, then when you're on offense and you don't have the ball, you should become that kind of player. Now, to become a dangerous player without the ball, you will be required to keep your eye on two or more things at the same time. But that's nothing new. On defense, you learn to watch both the ball and your man at the same time. Well, offense without the ball is no different. You'll learn to keep an eye on the ball and read your defender at the same time. The goal of this video is to transform you from a spectator to a player, from someone who stands and watches to someone who moves with intelligence and purpose, and ultimately to double or triple the points you would otherwise score. Scoring without the ball is divided into 7 chapters. The first chapter involves getting open and scoring by yourself on the ball side. Chapter 2 teaches you when to stay, when to cut, and who to read from the weak side. Chapter 3 shows the scoring cuts to make after you've passed the ball. Chapter 4 will dissect the fast break and how to become a slasher. Chapter 5 teaches the spacing, slides, and scoring opportunities that become available when your teammate penetrates. Chapter 6 demonstrates that setting a screen on the ball is often the best way to get yourself open for a score. And last, Chapter 7 takes 4 types of defenders and 4 types of screens away from the ball and teaches you how to score as both the screener and the cutter. And now, in typical Better Basketball fashion, let's not waste any time standing and watching. Let's get started with Better Basketball Scoring Without the Ball.
Chapter 1. One pass away, get open and score.
Here's the situation. Your teammate has the ball on the perimeter. You're one pass away, you're being guarded tough, and you have to get open by yourself to get the ball. You can't score if you can't get open and get the ball. In other words, you may be a whiz one-on-one with the ball, but if the defense can keep you from receiving the ball, your skills with the ball won't do you any good. Now, if this chapter were only about the moves to get open, it would still be worth learning. But I want you to take things a step further. I want you to view getting open, receiving the ball, reading the defense, and attacking the score as parts of one continuous move made up of consecutive reads and reactions. The basic principle I want you to consider is that your move to get open could leave your defender out of position for a split second. And in that split second, you can take advantage to score. Getting open, receiving the ball, reading the defense, and attacking the score are so dependent upon each other that it's difficult to separate them. Even so, in order to make it easier to learn, I've separated this chapter into 2 parts. First, the methods to get open and receive the ball, and second, the reads and moves to score.
getting open and receiving the ball. Situation 1, very little space to get open.
The first situation is one where you have very little space to operate. This could occur anywhere on the floor, but in this example, you're on the wing, one pass away, with a teammate behind you, and the low post is occupied. In other words, you can't use the threat of a basket cut, nor can you start in the corner and break to the wing. Here's how to get open with only 3 steps.
Read number 1, the defender does not move.
Take your first step towards your defender and then read him. If your defender doesn't move, then your second step is across him to the outside. Your third step creates space away from the defender and should be coordinated with your target hand.
Read number 2, the defender moves to deny.
This time, as a response to your first step, your defender steps higher to deny the ball. React with a second step toward the basket, showing your teammate a target hand. Your third step cuts off the defender. You now have an outnumbering situation, 5 offensive players against 4 defenders.
Read number 3, the defender makes contact.
And finally, your defender might take your first step in his direction as a chance to make contact with you. If so, then spin and seal him with a reverse pivot. You now have the same outnumbering situation as before.
Situation 2, space to move, shorten the pass.
Shorter passes are safer passes. In this case, you're on the perimeter and far enough away that a cut toward the ball would significantly shorten the pass and yet still leave you with good offensive spacing. Let's look at the cuts and reads in 3 different situations: when you're outside the arc, on the arc, or inside the arc.
Outside the arc.
If you're starting your cut outside the 3-point line, stay outside the arc as you cut toward the ball. Now you can use the arc to simplify your read. If your defender remains behind the arc, then you're open. This is an easy passing read for your teammate as well. And let's face it, in these situations, you don't have the ball, and in order to get the ball, your teammate must decide that it's okay to pass you the ball. So you want to make that read as clear and clean as possible for your passing teammate. That's what this technique does. If your defender is behind or inside the arc, then you're open. It's that simple. Give eye contact and show target hands. On the other hand, if your defender steps on or over the 3-point line, then you're not open and you should basket cut. Look for that read in these clips.
The read. Over the arc. Over the arc.
Not only is this a clear and simple read for both you and your passing teammate, but you also have plenty of space between you and the goal to receive the ball, make a move on a help defender, and score. Now for some detail. Make your cut an explosive change of speed by planting your outside foot parallel to the arc and pushing off straight to the goal behind your defender. This recruits your glutes, your most explosive muscles.
On the arc.
Second, if you make your cut right along the 3-point line, then you have 2 options. If your defender is below the line of your cut with at most only a hand in the passing lane, then make a corner and cut out to safely receive the pass on the perimeter. Plant your inside foot and push off perpendicular to the line of your foot in order to recruit the most explosive muscles. If your defender intends to deny your outside cut, then he or she will be on your line to the ball. In other words, if the area from your defender's elbow to his head is in the passing lane, then we're cutting. That is, make your corner cut to the basket by planting and pushing off your outside foot.
Inside the arc.
Finally, if you make your cut inside the arc, then use the traditional V-cut. This takes your defender out of the area in which you want the ball. Then return with a change of speed and a change of angle. If you don't use a V-cut and simply fake the basket cut and return along the same path, your defender can recover along his same path of retreat. Now, the angle at which you return is an important part of the technique to get open, and this is where the cut gets its name. Take the defender away, and when you return, cut across your defender's path. The path of your fake and your cut to return forms the letter V. The angle of your return cuts off your defender's line of recovery. Contact with your defender can help to freeze him when you change directions, but be careful. It's very easy to push off with the inside arm and get called for a foul. Communicate with your passer. Along with establishing eye contact, show target hands as a signal for when and where to pass.
Situation 3, extreme denial, the hugger.
If your defender is a hugger, that is, body to body with you, then use the spin and seal to get open. Start with your hands up for the official to see that you're not fouling, walk him toward the middle, step your top leg between his, and spin and seal him on your backside and show a target hand to your passer.
Situation 4, if there is space behind you.
If you're being denied the ball and there's no chance for a basket cut, but there is space behind you, then use the lob to get the ball. Walk your defender toward the ball, to your shoulders, and hold up both of your arms as a signal to your passer and to show the officials your hands. The ball can be lobbed over the defender to the open area behind you. When the ball goes over your head or between your arms, release and get the ball.
Situation 5, starting from the low post.
If you're already in the low post area, then take the defender up the lane line toward the ball and then cut out. This is also a corner cut or a V cut, and again, use a change of speed when you change direction. A variation of this up and out cut is to add a spin before you cut out. The spin allows you to get the defender on your hip, hold the seal, show your target hand, and step out to receive the ball. Notice in this case that the outside foot becomes the pivot foot. Our player uses a reverse pivot to square up for attack.
After learning how to get open, receive, read, and attack.
Let's start the second half of this chapter by breaking a bad habit I see in lots of players. They get open, receive the ball, and then relax as if to celebrate that they've accomplished something. Even if your job is to simply get open, wait on a cutter, pass the ball, and run a certain play, it will be easier to do if you're prepared to attack the goal when you receive the ball. Have a scoring mindset that's always ready to take advantage of the defense. You see, the moves we just covered to get open not only serve the obvious purpose of getting the ball, but they also change the spacing, position, and angles of recovery for your defender. Defenders will make mistakes when they have to move and adjust their positions while you're getting open and receiving the ball. Your job is to read those mistakes and take advantage immediately in one motion. Otherwise, if you get open, receive the ball, but then hesitate as you square up to the goal, the defense will have time to adjust. Instead, get open, read, and attack all in one motion while you have the defense at a disadvantage.
Receive, read, and attack. 3 simple reads to score. Read number 1. The defender follows.
If he recovers along the angle of your cut, basically just following you, then catch and step by him all in the same motion. Don't hesitate, just keep going. This is quick, so be sure to time your first step and dribble together to avoid the traveling call.
Receive, read, and attack. Read number 2, overplay recovery.
Most of the time, the defender will recover in an overplay position. Usually, it's after they've tried to shoot the gap and deflect the ball. Now's your chance to make it really tough on the defense to change direction and recover. Take advantage of their overplay position by sweeping against the grain or direction of your cut. Use the ball to shift your momentum. Rip the ball hard, low to the ground, and under the defender's hands.
Sweep against the grain. Footwork.
If you catch the ball while stopping yourself with 2 feet, then sweep and cross step to complete your cut against the grain. But if you can change direction on 1 foot, then plant your outside foot, sweep and open step past your defender without letting the inside foot touch the ground. This is more difficult than stopping with 2 feet, but if you can do it, it's a little quicker.
Receive, read, and attack. Read number 3, body to body.
If your defender has overplayed you, but is so close to you that there's no space to sweep, then reverse pivot and attack.
Bonus section, thoughts on finishing.
I can't leave this chapter without pointing out how these moves to get open and attack will dovetail nicely into the variety of moves to finish that we covered in our previous video, One-on-One Offense Scoring from the Perimeter. Specifically, chapters 5 and 6, scoring in the mid-range and finishing. This is simply a reminder that the parts of the game that we break down and teach at Better Basketball will eventually fit back together in a seamless offensive attack. Here are a few examples of combining the moves from this video with the moves from our previous video to fit the situation.
Example number 1, finishing.
V-cut to get open, sweep against the overplay, and if you don't beat your defender clean, meaning he's beside you and not behind you, then use your hop to create space for the mid-range pull-up. Perhaps the 10-foot bank, or perhaps the hop back is needed.
Example number 2, finishing.
V-cut to get open, sweep against his recovery, and if you beat the defense clean, then be prepared to beat a second defender. Sweep and immediately cross over if there's quick help.
Example number 3, finishing.
Same situation, but beat the late helping defender who's waiting in the lane. Sweep, cross over, and body shift off 2 feet to avoid the third defender.
Chapter 2, attacking from the weak side.
If you and the ball are on opposite sides of the floor, then you're on what's called the weak side. Whether the opposing team is playing a man-to-man or a zone, your defender will probably be in the lane, concerned with helping his or her teammates defend the ball, leaving you open. Good spacing is good offense, and good offense has good spacing. If you're on a good team with good spacing, then half of the time you're going to be on the weak side away from the ball. Being able to score from the weak side position means you're making good use of 50% of your time without the ball. Becoming a threat to score from the weak side is important for another reason. The defense becomes reluctant to help too much on the ball. This means that your threat to score from the weak side will stretch the defense, leaving gaps for your teammates to attack. You've increased your teammates' chances to score. And what's more, if your teammates are penetrating to score, they might draw your defender and pitch you the ball. Even though we look at flashing to the ball at the end of this chapter, most of the time, staying where you are on the weak side is the right thing to do. Resist the temptation to creep toward the ball. The ball is like a magnet to the inexperienced player. You might want to get closer to it, but resist the temptation and keep good spacing. The second principle is to position yourself so that the passer can see you at all times. Stay wide and stay in the eyes of the ball. When the skip pass comes or the quick swing pass, have your eyes on the ball while reading your defender at the same time. You have the advantage because the defender is running at you to close the gap.
Chapter 2, contents. Footwork. Read, catch, and attack. Turn lemons into lemonade. When to flash the ball. Weak side attack. Footwork. Open stance, 2-foot hop.
Before we catch the ball in attack, let's look at your footwork. There are two ways to catch the ball on the weak side. An open stance or staggered stance with 1 foot back, and a 2-foot hop.
Footwork. Open stance or 1 foot back.
When you're open on the weak side, the ball can be passed directly to you by skipping the ball over the defense, or it can be passed or swung around the top of the key. In the second case, when the ball briefly hits the hands of your teammate at the top of the key, you'll be 1 pass away and you can take an open stance to the ball with 1 foot back. Give the passer a target. Show the ball the palm of your shooting hand. Your palm provides a bullseye, a signal that leaves no doubt where you want the ball. This increases your chance of a good pass being thrown. And a good pass means you can start your shot or your drive as quickly as possible. The shooting hand stops the pass and your offhand traps the ball. Besides presenting a target, catching the ball near your shot pocket with your wrist already set prepares you to shoot as quickly as possible. Now, when you square to the goal, you're in triple attack position, the best stance from which to attack. Waiting on the weak side also means you have time to spot up the foot closest to the goal. Point that foot's toes to your target. If you're behind the three-point line, don't toe up right on the line. Give yourself a little space in case you overstep when you square up. You don't want 3 points turned into 2 just for the sake of a few inches. Now, even when the ball is skipped, some players need to or simply like to have a foot back while waiting on the pass. When they catch, they step into their shot. Although I would rather you learn to catch in a hop with both feet square beneath your shoulders, I know that some players need the lift that they get from the step up. If you're one of those players, then consider this. If you catch and then step up before you shoot or drive, you'll give your defender more time to recover. So let's speed this up. Step up while the ball is in the air. Time it so that your back foot hits the ground square with your lead foot at the same time that the ball hits your hands. You should already be slightly bent at the knees and hips so that when the ball hits your hands, you can immediately go up with your shot or explode by with a drive. Compare the two side by side. Catch, then step up versus timing the step up and catch together.
Ready, go. Footwork. The 2-foot hop. How to catch in a hop. 3 tips. Hop tip number 1.
While the skip pass is in the air, stay in your triple attack stance and let the ball fall into your shot pocket.
Hop tip number 2.
If the pass is short or to the right or left, then move under the ball while remaining in your triple attack stance. Chopping your feet will help you stay in your stance while you move.
Game example.
Don't be lazy and reach for the ball. Besides putting you off balance, it takes too much time to reach, catch, and pull the ball back into your shot pocket. This extra time could allow the defense to fully recover and stop your attack.
Hop tip number 3.
Get your feet in the air while the ball is in the air and time the ball hitting your hands with your feet hitting the ground.
Game examples. Why catch in a hop? 4 reasons. Why the hop number 1?
Catching in the 2-foot hop puts you automatically in the triple attack position, the best stance from which to attack.
Why the hop number 2?
It loads your legs for explosion, storing extra vertical energy for your shot.
Why the hop number 3?
It's the quickest way to get off your shot. You're ready to go up and out with your shot as soon as the ball hits your hands. No dipping the ball, no extra knee bending, just up and out.
Why the hop number 4?
Last but not least, catching in a 2-foot hop allows you the choice of using either foot as a pivot foot if you need to drive. If you want to explore that subject, then see one-on-one offense, scoring from the perimeter.
Read, catch, attack in that order. Introduction.
Most players have been taught to catch the ball safely, square up to the goal, read the defense, and then attack. In the game of basketball, this is best most of the time, but not when you're playing on the weak side. Rather than catch the ball and then read the defense, the order is reversed when you're on the weak side. Take your mental game to the next level. I want you to read the defense while the ball is in the air and know what you're going to do before the ball hits your hands. Don't focus only on the ball or only on the defense. Instead, watch the ball in flight, while at the same time, keep your peripheral vision and all of your awareness on the recovering defender. Here are your reads.
Read number 1. The late defender.
If the defender is late, then catch and shoot. Simple enough for the experienced player, but if you don't know what that distance is for you, then training with a partner can help. When you're training, don't worry about getting a few shots blocked. In fact, if you don't get a few blocked during your training, you'll never learn how close you can cut it in the games.
Read number 2. The flyby.
Some defenders sprint to the cover with the intention of flying by and blocking your shot, or flying by and just changing your shot, or flying by and forcing you to drive with the hope that their teammates will rotate and pick up your drive. This type of defender will not sprint straight towards you. Doing so will make them collide with you when they leave the ground. So, while the ball is in the air, you must read which shoulder the defender will fly by. When he leaves his feet, drive the other side. I can't emphasize enough that this can be trained with a partner. Your partner passes and randomly chooses either side to fly by. You decide which side to drive while the pass is in the air.
Read number 3. The closeout.
If the defense recovers in time to prevent your shot and also play your drive, you'll notice him in a lower stance with his weight back. You might even hear his feet chopping or his shoes squeaking. Note which foot, hand, or shoulder is forward and attack in the direction of his back, just like you learned in better one-on-one offense.
Turn lemons into lemonade.
If the pass is skipped over your head, catching in a hop could land you well outside your shooting range. So instead of using a hop, drag a foot as you go after the pass. Now, after you catch the ball, you can step up, square up, and shorten your distance to the goal. It's difficult, if not impossible, to read your defender while you're going after a pass over your head. So in the case of this type of pass, you'll have to read your defender after you catch the ball. If your defender lunged to deflect or steal the pass, take advantage. You now have the defense outnumbered 5-4. Let's look at one more possible scenario. As you're trying to turn this overthrown pass into something good, your defender arrives in pressure defense and crowds your ability to square up. Reverse pivot, sealing behind you, and attack.
When to flash the ball from the weak side.
If all the players on the weak side constantly flash to the ball, there'll be no room or spacing for anything good to happen. 10 players on one side of the floor does not make for good basketball. However, there are times when you should flash to the ball from the weak side. Here's 4 examples.
Example 1.
Your team might be running a play that calls for this specific cut.
Example 2.
Against a man-to-man, the middle could be open and your defender is guarding you close instead of helping. A simple front or rear cut allows you to beat your defender to the ball.
Example 3.
Against a zone, you spot a hole or a seam opening where you can cut and the ball can see you.
Example 4.
Now, those cases are pretty straightforward, but let's examine a case like this. You're on the weak side, your defender's in good helping defensive position, and you see an opportunity to flash to the open area. But as you reach the open area, your defender moves to intercept you. As you and your defender approach the same spot, make the following reads. If your defender has an elbow or more of his body on the line between you and the ball, then make a corner cut to the basket. If you see only your defender's hand or less in the passing lane, then make a corner cut out to the perimeter.
Chapter 3, Pass Attack.
To watch the majority of players, one might think that pass stands for pass and stand still. But there are scoring opportunities for you if you do the very opposite. In fact, the title of this chapter should be changed to one word, pass attack. Pass and attack immediately. If you pass and stand still, you make it easy for your defender to guard you and the ball. Your stationary position actually hurts your teammates because your defender can easily help and even double team the ball. But if you pass and move, your defender can't help on the ball and you stand a better chance of getting the ball back and scoring. Most defenders are used to guarding players with the bad offensive habit of passing and standing. So their defensive habit is to relax once you've passed the ball. A bad defensive habit means there's a scoring opportunity for you, the offensive player, if you're trained to look for it. And so, the underlying principle of this chapter is to pass and move in such a way that you have the best chance of getting the ball back.
Chapter 3, Contents. Passing to a perimeter player. Front cut, rear cut, passing to the post. Your defender stays with you. Your defender double teams the post. Relocating, beating recovering defense.
To pass and cut to the basket has been traditionally called the give and go. There are two ways to give and go.
Perimeter pass, front cut.
If you pass and your defender does not adjust but stays square to you, in other words, he doesn't jump toward the ball to put himself in denial position, then you can front cut him or cut his face and get the ball back. Help yourself by stepping and passing almost at the same time. This first step is the same as the first step from triple threat. It could be an open step or a cross step. The mechanics are the same. Make it a tight cut by brushing your defender shoulder to shoulder. To help clear your shoulders past your defender's shoulders, shoot your inside arm through with your first step. But now you have another use for this arm, to give a target hand. Pass, front cut, target hand.
Perimeter pass, rear cut.
If the defender jumps toward the ball in order to get denial position, then rear cut straight to the basket and just like the front cut, show a target hand. Make your cut as your defender is sliding into denial. Don't hesitate and let him get his position. If you hesitate and allow him to get denial position before you rear cut, he will try to jam your cut and slow you down with his inside arm. It's hard for the officials to see because it's easy for the defender to hide his hand check between your bodies. It can slow you down for a split second and make the rear cut easy to defend. If you feel the hand check, then swim your inside arm over the defender and clear his hand away while you rear cut. Let's simplify these two cuts this way. If you catch your defender brain dead, then front cut him. But most defenders have been taught to jump into denial position. So the rear cut allows you to take advantage of what most defenders have been trained to do.
When you feed the post.
When you pass to the post, your defender has two options. He'll stay with you, or he'll help down to double team the post. Let's look at the first case.
Case number 1, the defender stays on you.
If your defender stays on you and doesn't turn to help in the post, then you have the same give and goes available that you had on the perimeter. Obviously, if your teammate's in the low post, then your cut to the basket will be above him. And if you pass to the high post, then your basket cut will be below him. But what if your teammate is in the mid post? A basket cut too close to the ball will allow the post defender to guard the ball and your cut at the same time. To ensure good spacing in this situation, use these guidelines. If you cut on the baseline side, go below the big block. If you cut above the post, touch the free throw line elbow. If your defender anticipates you and tries to jam your cut, then use the contact to change directions. If you try to cut high and run into your defender, then V-cut and go below the post. Vice versa, if you cut low and your defender steps to crowd you, then V-cut above the post. Take what the defense gives you. Stay alert as you finish your cut into the lane. Many defenders play hard while you're making the cut outside the lane, but tend to relax after you make it past the post. Or they let you go because they're transitioning into help defensive position. Either way, be ready for a late pass from the post when you're finishing your cut underneath the basket. If the defense has become wise to your basket cuts, then screen for a teammate up top and cut down the lane after you screen. If no one's up top, then just fake setting the screen, and with a change of speed and angle, make your basket cut.
Case number 2, the defender covers down on the post.
If your defender covers down and forces the post to pivot away from the pressure, then you must relocate where he can see you and deliver the pass, regardless of your defender's stance. Your highest priority is to make yourself available. If your defender covers down but the post can pass in either direction, then relocate to your defender's back. This makes his recovery harder because you're out of his vision and he must swing step before he can close out. If your defender even turns his head to look in the post, then relocate to his back. Regardless of where you relocate, run a banana loop in order to step into the pass. This allows you to have your weight going into the shot or drive to the goal. Choose your footwork. 1-2 with your inside foot being your stop, pivot, square up foot, or catch in a hop and get square to the goal while you're in the air.
Game examples of feed the post and relocate. Beat the recovering defender.
Now, if you feed the post, relocate and receive the pass back, your defender will follow the pass and try to recover. Your reads here are the same as the previous chapter. If there is time and space to catch and shoot, then pull the trigger. If your defender intends to leave the ground and block your shot, and you feel like she might be successful or will at least change your shot, then you must read which side the defense will fly by and drive the other way. If she flies by your right side, then drive left. If she's closer to your left side, then drive right. Let's say your defender plays it perfect and manages to close out and discourage your shot without leaving her feet. Remember the reads from better one-on-one offense. Read the lead hand, lead shoulder, or lead foot and drive in the direction of your defender's back. With her left hand up, her back points to the right. If she leads with her right hand, shoulder, or foot, her back points to the left. Attack the back.
Chapter summary.
If you pass, cut immediately in order to get the ball back. If your defender does not adjust, then front cut. If your defender jumps toward the ball to get denial position, then rear cut. If you feed the post and your defender stays, then basket cut above or below your posting teammate. If you feed the post and your defender double teams the post, then relocate to your defender's back or to a spot where the ball can see you and be passed to you. Read your defender's recovery. Either catch and shoot if you have time, or use your skills from the last chapter to read which side to drive.
Chapter 4, Run and Slash.
success of a fast break depends on a number of factors. How well the fast breaking team can rebound the ball. Do the rebounders make a quick outlet pass? How many defenders are back on defense? How well the players without the ball run the floor? These are just a few of the factors. But the one factor that this chapter will address is the last one. The offensive player without the ball who's running the floor looking for an opportunity to score on the fast break. How to run the floor during transition is important to you for two reasons. The first one is just the sheer number of times that transition from defense to offense occurs during the course of a game. That translates to a lot of scoring opportunities for you. The second reason is the type of basket that's created. It's a layup, and most of the times, a layup is an easy basket. If you're going to become a prolific scorer, you don't want all of your baskets coming the hard way. You need a few easy ones, like layups, mixed in as well. The basic principle here is as basic as they come. Run. Run does not demand a high set of skills from anyone, but it does take desire and conditioning. By the way, a coach might help you with conditioning, but desire is something that only you can bring. In fact, it's the only thing that's yours and yours alone. Think about that. You can't take credit for your speed, size, jumping ability, or even your eye-hand coordination. You may have worked to improve them, but you have to credit your parents and good genetics for those gifts. As for your skills and knowledge of the game, did you acquire them all by yourself, or did you learn from others? Whether it was a coach, a teammate, a family member, an opponent, or even a better basketball video. If so, you just can't take all the credit for your skills. The only thing that you bring to the game that's yours and yours alone is your effort. What's right in here.
Chapter 4 contents: the fundamental fast break, slasher moves. The fundamental fast break.
Once you've exploded out of the rebounding crowd, you'll find yourself in one of three positions relative to the ball. You may be ahead of the ball. That's great. Head straight for the rim and hope for a good pass that leads you to a layup. I'll talk about your footwork and the layup in a moment. You might find yourself roughly parallel to the ball. If it's just you and the ball, that is 2-on-1, then your main concern is spacing. Stay at least 10 feet wide of the ball so that the defender can't play both you and the ball handler. And last, you may be behind the ball at the beginning of the fast break. In other words, the ball and at least one other teammate without the ball are ahead of you. If so, try to catch up to the ball and fill the empty space on the side of the ball opposite your other teammate. Now you've given your ball handler two possible targets to hit for layups. If you find yourself trailing behind the fast break, then look to fill one of these 5 lanes. Fill the one that's empty. Don't follow directly behind the ball. If the ball handler stops, you may find yourself stumbling over him or her and causing a turnover.
Slashing.
Regardless of the lane you fill, when you hit the three-point line, change direction and slash straight to the goal. There are 3 benefits to this slash. First, your momentum and change of direction will beat a retreating defender who is preparing to pick you up. Second, it's going to give your ball handler a good passing angle. But third, and most importantly, it will afford you a good layup angle.
Footwork, the fundamental layup.
When you're on the move, the rules of the game allow you to catch the ball, take another step to leave the ground, and shoot before you land. Fundamentally speaking, on the right side of the goal, you should jump off your left foot and shoot the layup with your right hand. Picture it this way. Your right elbow and right knee are connected. When your right elbow goes up with the ball for the layup, so does your right knee. Vice versa, on the left side, you'll jump off your right leg, but your left knee goes up with your left hand as you shoot your left-handed layup.
Footwork, the fast break layup.
If the defense is between you and the goal, this fundamental layup puts your body between the defender and the ball. That's why it's been called a good fundamental layup. But on a fast break, An inside defender becomes less of a factor. The more important skill becomes catching the ball and making the layup at full speed without traveling. Players who are determined to shoot their fast break layup the same way they shoot their pregame warm-up layups will sometimes find themselves stuttering their steps while the pass is in the air so that they can leave the ground off of one particular foot. I can appreciate the determination to shoot the layup fundamentally correct, but this sometimes leads to a traveling call, and other times it slows you down and allows the defense to catch you.
Footwork, full speed factors.
Let's look at some other factors that make the full-speed, fast-break layup not as easy as it first appears. You are never approaching the goal at the same angle. You're never leaving the ground from the same spot. A pass too early puts you in a predicament. If you shoot without a dribble, you must long jump to get to the goal. But if you dribble in order to take the fundamentally correct number of steps, it puts you too far into the goal.
Footwork, pro-fun layups.
So let's face it, a layup during warm-ups is easy. But on a fast break, it's a struggle sometimes to catch the ball at full speed, take one step off of the correct foot, and then shoot with the correct hand. So what's the solution? Trust me that your teammates, your coach, your mom and dad, and anyone else on your side are only concerned with two things. Did you turn the ball over? And if not, did you walk away with 2 points? Nothing else matters. So, from this point on, I'm changing the definition of a fundamental fast break layup. You're not fundamental until you can shoot a layup at full speed with no dribble, leaving the ground off of either foot from either side of the goal and make it with either hand. And that includes reverse layups on either side as well. I used to call these combinations pro layups, but from here on, I'm calling them pro fundamental layups, or pro fun layups for short. Let's watch them.
Right hand, left foot. Right hand, right foot. Left hand, right foot. Left hand, left foot. Reversed layup. Right hand, left foot. Right hand, right foot. Left hand, right foot. Left hand, left foot. Left hand, right foot. Left hand, left foot. Right hand, left foot. Right hand, right foot. Reversed layup. Left hand, right foot. Left hand, left foot. Right hand, left foot. Right hand, right foot.
When you first begin to practice these pro-fun layups, you'll feel off balance and awkward. But my experience has been that you'll be comfortable in as few as 3 days. Within a week or so, it won't matter what foot you use, whether you change hands while in the air, or whether you must use the other side of the goal. You'll be able to make any full-speed fast break layup. An early pass or a late pass, a weird angle or a shot blocker will not take you by surprise anymore. Only then can you consider yourself fundamentally sound.
Slasher moves.
The previous section outlines the perfect scenario for a fast break. But you and I both know that fast breaks don't always unfold with perfect spacing and perfect timing. That's what makes basketball a great game. And that's what makes this great game fun. As an example, one of the defenders of the fast break is a good anticipator and arrives in front of you at the same time the pass arrives. In this case, most players fumble the ball, travel, or charge into the defensive player. It's a good move on the defensive player's part. This type of defender is trying to kill the fast break by surprising you and making you turn it over. I respect that. But now that the defense has taken it to the next level, Let's take your game to another level and beat this rascal. You might wonder if the following skills are truly without the ball skills. They are, and here's why. This situation has arisen because you decided to sprint the floor and fill a possible passing lane without the ball. The momentum that will carry you past the defense when you change angles was gained while you were running the floor without the ball. The ball is passed to you, and in the same split second that the ball is in the air, you see this crafty defender sliding into place with your peripheral vision. The decision to make a cut and slash by the defender is made before the ball hits your hands. In other words, the decision to slash was made without the ball.
Slasher moves. Beat one defender.
Our player is approaching the arc during transition, and his defender is approaching and anticipating the pass. The pass is thrown, and as the ball hits our player's hands, he changes direction in a sharp cut. He slashes to the inside of his defender, beating him on the first dribble. In this case, on the left side, his first step is with his right foot toward the goal while planting and pushing off with his outside foot. Note that the outside foot is planted parallel to the sideline when he makes his push to change direction. The change of angle and burst of speed will beat your defender, so don't round out the cut. Keep the angle sharp. With practice, one dribble will get you to the rim.
Slasher moves. Beat two defenders.
Now we work on handling help defenders with the same moves you saw in the bonus section at the end of Chapter 1. Take care of the first defender with a change of angle and beat the second defender with a quick low crossover. Mix in some other change-ups on the second defender when your skill level will allow you. Slash and go between your legs. Slash and go around your back.
Slasher moves. Beat three defenders.
Now we add one more layer of difficulty. Use the 2-foot body shift to avoid and beat the third and last help defender in the lane. If you're not yet strong enough or big enough to make this work for you, shoot the teardropper while avoiding the charge. If you want more ideas for beating the third defender, then see our video one-on-one scoring from the perimeter. Everything's broken down in Chapter 6 on finishing.
Slasher moves. Mix it up.
You can experiment with different angles and distances from the goal as long as you cut while you're on the move the instant the ball hits your hands. The combination and moves are endless, so I'll give you one final example. Make your initial cut earlier and sharper so that the angle sends you to the free throw line elbow where you encounter the first help defender. Try a spin dribble and extend yourself to make it to the goal without another dribble. If you take another dribble after the spin, it allows plenty of time for the third help defender to stop you.
Chapter 5. Taking advantage of dribble penetration.
A good perimeter player does not wait on the ball to accidentally find him. Dribble penetration by your teammate demands that you read and react with a move to put yourself in the best possible position to receive a pass. And that's the goal of this chapter, to increase your chances of being on the receiving end of the penetrator's pass. Regardless of which level you're playing at, the type of players, their age, sex, or style of play, dribble penetration occurs more often than any other action in the game. This means that there are lots of opportunities to score for those without the ball if they know where to move when a drive occurs. On the other hand, moving the wrong way becomes not just a missed opportunity for you to score, but often a turnover as well. Don't stand and watch. That's what spectators do, not players. If you're going to stand and watch, then move up into the stands with the fans. Enjoy some popcorn and a hot dog and let somebody else become a player. When your defender helps, slide into an area where the ball handler can see you. That's the overriding principle of this chapter. And if that's all you take with you from this chapter, then it'll be well worth it. If your defender turns his attention to the ball, then lose him. Your defender might step to the ball or simply turn his head. The head turn is the signal. Move. Move when he's not paying attention to you and move out of his line of sight. The last principle to look for throughout this chapter is a circle movement by the offensive players who don't have the ball. It's a broad principle for which there are a few exceptions, but look for it to occur in most cases. It looks like this. If the ball is driven to the right of the defensive player, then the offensive players circle to the right. If the ball is driven left, then they circle left. The reason that the circle movement is successful is that the movement of the offensive players will usually be in the opposite direction that the defense helps and rotates. If you're moving in the opposite direction that the defense has been trained to move, you have a much better chance of being open.
Chapter 5 Contents. Drives to recognize. Read the drive and react. On the wing. In the corner. In the post. Up top. The big picture. Exceptions to examine. Reading the type of drive.
Penetrate, draw the defense, and pitch to the open player. That's simple enough, but which defender is drawn to help depends on the type of drive and the type of defense that's being played. So first, let's categorize the types of drives that you must be able to recognize. Later, you'll learn how to react to each one.
Drive on your side.
You are one pass away anywhere on the perimeter. A drive on your side means the penetrator is driving the ball on your side of his or her defender.
Drive away from you.
Same situation, one pass away on the perimeter. A drive away from you means the penetrator drives on the other side of his or her defender.
Down the gut.
Down the gut means a drive from up top, crossing the free throw line inside the lane.
Wing to the middle.
Wing to the middle is a drive that begins on the wing and enters the lane in the upper half.
Baseline drive.
Baseline drive is a drive that enters the lane in the lower half. The drive could originate from the corner, but it might start from the wing as well.
Read the drive and react.
Now, what follows is not an exhaustive list. There are always exceptions to the rule. But these are the situations that you'll see most of the time. Let's start with the reads and reactions when you're on the wing, and we'll cover where you should move no matter from where the ball is driven.
Location. You are on the wing.
The ball is driven from up top, down the gut, on your side, and your defender helps straight across. Your slide is toward the corner. The key is to always remain in the ball handler's 45-degree peripheral vision. This makes it a natural pitch for the ball handler. An easy push pass off the dribble. Your slide not only keeps you in the passer's vision, but now your defender must change direction and cover more ground to recover to you, and this affords you more time to get off your shot. Your shot preparation is the same as waiting on the weak side in Chapter 2. Have target hands in your shot pocket and do whatever it takes to catch the ball in your triple attack position.
Game examples.
Пошла последняя минута четверти, 5 секунд на атаку. Колден. Да.
Prendere dagli arbitri. Dursley dall'altra parte, fuori per Celeste, che ha spazio per la...
The ball is up top, but the penetration is away from you. To remain where you are will leave you in a dead zone. It's called that because for most ball handlers, it's difficult to pass over the opposite shoulder, and it's almost impossible to see you since the defender that she's in the process of beating is blocking the line of sight to your area. Many teams know that and choose to leave you open when they help and rotate. So where should you go? Well, whether it's a very good defensive team with perfect rotation or a simple case of dribble penetration drawing all defenders toward the ball, most of the time a hole is left on the perimeter from where the penetration began. Take advantage of this and move out of the dead zone to fill the spot directly behind the penetrator. Picture it this way. You and the penetrator are connected. The drive away from you pulls you into the teammate's former spot. Notice the circle movement. Now, if the ball is completely stopped and all the penetrator's normal passes to your other three teammates have been shut down, the penetrator can reverse pivot and throw back to you as a safety valve. This becomes a great catch and shoot or catch and attack situation for you. If the ball is in the same side corner, that is, one pass away from you, then the circle principle applies. In other words, if the ball drives baseline away from you, then fill the corner behind it. If the ball is driven on your side, that is, toward the middle, then let the circle movement push you away toward the top so that you remain in the penetrator's 45-degree vision.
Location. You are on the wing, but you have teammates in the post area.
If the ball is opposite you on the other wing, then your movement is simple. Stay on a line parallel to the ball. Mirror the movement of the other wing player. If he penetrates and your defender helps, then you'll be in the position of the natural pitch. Let's look at two examples. If he drives to the middle and your defender helps, then you are his easiest option, a pass straight ahead off the dribble.
Game examples.
חבר'ה עדיין מחזיקים בכדור, ועכשיו יבוא סטפנו ויעשה את השלושה.
When he drives baseline, many defenders stop his drive to the basket, but not the pass behind the basket to the opposite corner. So if no one is in the corner below you, the principle of being on a parallel line will carry your slide into the corner, where you are once again on the receiving end of a straightaway pass.
Game examples.
Değerli izleyiciler, tekrar birlikteyiz. Atina'da OAK Olimpik Spor Salonu'nda mola süresi.
Location. You are in the corner.
If we apply the circle movement to penetration from up top, you'll notice that a drive right slides the right wing to the corner, and the right corner makes a basket cut on his way to fill the next spot in the opposite corner. The circle movement, in its purest form, would tell the left corner to rotate up to the left wing. But this is the dead zone, as you saw earlier. And that's why I call the circle movement a principle instead of a rule. Don't move into the dead zone. You have as much of a chance at rear cutting your defender as the other corner does. So, if you're in either corner and penetration comes from up top, make a basket cut. Any movement by your defender is your signal to rear cut. Even a turn of the defender's head becomes a read to go back door. Many times this works simply because the defense is focused on the penetration in front of them and forgets about you cutting behind them. The principle works in transition as well. Read the defender and rear cut.
Game examples.
The ball is one pass away on the same side wing. If the ball is on the high wing, say above the free throw line extended, then the circle principle will send you back door looking for a layup. When the ball is driven from the high wing, there will be plenty of time to make your rear cut and clear the lane in case your teammate doesn't pass to you and decides to finish his drive to the goal. If the ball is on the low wing, where it takes your teammate only one dribble to get to the goal, rotating to the next spot, the opposite corner, will put yourself and your defender in the path of your penetrating teammate. So stay put, but don't relax. If your defender gives quick help, you could be receiving a quick pitch after one dribble. If the ball is on the same side wing, but is driven away from you, then just like before, avoid the dead zone and fill the spot behind the penetrator. You become a safety valve that prevents turnovers and bad shots. If the ball is on the opposite wing, then you must read whether the drive is to the middle or to the baseline. If it's to the middle, then just like penetration down the gut, look to rear cut your defender for a backdoor layup. However, if the wing makes the drive along the baseline, or if the drive comes from the opposite corner, then the read is the same. It's a baseline drive. Don't slide anywhere. Stay in the corner. You might start to circle up to the wing, but immediately step back into the corner. Because for baseline penetration, the natural pitch to the opposite corner is open more often than any other window.
Location. You are in the post.
Picture this. You're inside posting up, or you're making a basket cut, or you're setting a screen. Regardless of the reason, you're in the post area when, boom, dribble penetration occurs. Your first priority is to get out of the way and give your teammate space to get to the goal. Now, that might sound overly simple, but I was recently watching a pro game, considered the highest level of basketball, and there's a penetrator making his moves from beyond the half line, working the middle 1/3 of the floor. Everybody in the house knows he's headed to the goal, except I guess for his teammate in the low post, because this low post player stays right where he's at while his teammate takes it to the rack less than 6 inches away from him. The post player flinches to keep from being hit in the face while his teammate goes by. I'm yelling at the TV, get out of his way. You're forcing your teammate to not only beat 2 or 3 defenders, but to beat you as well. I mean, I don't have any drills for beating your own teammates. So if you don't know what penetrating pitch means, at least get out of your teammate's way and give him room to get to the rack. Anyway, if you're in the post and there's dribble penetration, then your slide must not only be out of the way, but you should move into a position to receive a pass. Now, these slides must also be in conjunction with the rest of your teammates. You don't want 2 players occupying the same space. So, with that in mind, here are the reactions to dribble penetration when you're in the post. If the ball is driven down the gut, the middle of the lane, and your defender helps, then step out and create space for the pass. But if help defense comes from somewhere else and your defender follows you out of the lane, then look to rear cut him for a layup.
Game examples.
Quando recibe el balón y se eleva. Envergadura tremenda.
Ferma il palleggio, Verbitz a Stefanov, ancora Piccherol, questa volta con Kakiusis, non sfruttato da Stefanov, liberato però chiamando alla perfezione, Parker per Jasikevičius, in emergenza Mörtola contro di lui.
If the ball is driven from the wing into the middle above your position in the post, then just like the drive down the gut, step out of the way and give your teammate room to finish. When you're opposite the ball, your step out could turn into a jumper if your defender stays to help. But if your defender goes with you, then look for a rear cut. On the ball side, if the wing beats his man clean, then you might get a bounce pass for a layup. But if the wing does not beat his man clean, then you could find yourself in the dead zone. So, to cover all the bases, let your step out continue into a complete loop out of the dead zone and into the safety valve position behind the wing. Again, you can see the circle principle coming into play. If the ball is driven below your position in the post from either side of the floor, then it becomes a baseline drive, regardless of whether it began on the wing or in the corner. Slide up the lane to the free throw line elbow or to the arc, depending on your shooting range. If you were posting on the ball side, you'll find yourself in the 90-degree window of the passer. If you were in the post on the weak side, you'll find yourself sliding for the 45-degree pass.
Location. You're up top.
The ball is on the wing and one pass away from you. If the drive is to the baseline, then it's away from you, and just as you've already seen from the other positions, you should get out of the dead zone and fill behind the penetrator to become the safety valve. If the ball is on the wing and the drive is to the middle, the circle principle will push your slide along the arc. Look for the 45 to 90-degree angle pitch.
Game examples.
The ball is in the corner and you're up top, which means you are 2 or more passes away. When the corner drives, you'll be able to slide into the 90 or 45-degree windows, depending on which of the two spots are filled by your teammates.
Game examples. The big picture.
What happens when all 5 players are using these principles at the same time? Will there be a conflict? Will you be running into your own teammate? Or will you still have good spacing, good balance, and every window of the penetrator filled with a potential target? Let's answer that question by applying these principles to all 5 players in the 3 most likely offensive sets that your team will use. 5 out, 4 out and 1 in, and 3 out and 2 in.
5 out. Gut drive. Natural pitch. Bounce pass layup. Bounce pass layup. Safety valve. Wing drive middle. Natural pitch. Bounce pass layup. 45-degree pitch. Safety valve. Wing drive baseline. Quick pitch. Natural pitch. 45-degree pitch. Safety valve. Corner baseline drive. Natural pitch. 45-degree pitch. 90-degree up the line. Safety valve. 4 out, 1 in. Gut drive. Natural pitch. Bounce pass layup. Step out or layup. Safety valve. Another gut drive. Natural pitch. Step out or layup. Bounce pass layup. Safety valve. Wing drive middle. Bounce pass layup. Bounce pass layup. Natural pitch. 45-degree pitch. Safety valve. Baseline drive. Natural pitch. 45-degree pitch. 90-degree up the line. Safety valve. 3 out, 2 in. Gut drive. Natural pitch. Shot or rear cut. Shot or rear cut. Safety valve. Wing drive middle. Shot or rear cut. Natural pitch. Shot or rear cut. 45-degree pitch. Safety valve. Wing drive baseline. Natural pitch. 45-degree pitch. 90-degree up the line. Safety valve. Exceptions to examine.
There's no way to log every exception, and that's why this chapter is built on principles and not hard, fast rules. These exceptions occur because the defense or your penetrating teammate has done something out of the ordinary. I'm going to show you the two most common cases so that you're not taken by surprise when you see them. The first common exception occurs when you are one pass away and the ball is driven on your side. This time, the penetration on your side is arced. In other words, his drive is not a V directly to the goal, but instead his defender makes him drive in a U. A slide away doesn't help because your defender can give the little bit of help that's needed and cut off the line of the pass to you at the same time. Instead, V-step and move behind the ball. Without intentionally doing it, the ball handler has provided you with a brush screen. Now your defender must fight around the penetrator in order to recover. This read is a little more advanced than the others because you must be able to discern whether the drive is a good north-south penetration or whether it's being arced in an east-west direction. Another exception is the corner basket cut. If you remember, the principle is to basket cut behind your defender if dribble penetration comes from up top down the middle. But here's the exception. If your defender is already in the lane, prepared to help, then a basket cut would allow your defender to stop the ball and guard you at the same time. Instead, stay in the corner for the pitch.
Conclusion.
A good perimeter player always looks for ways to be available to the ball at all times. It's a mentality, an attitude, and it demands that you study every aspect of the game. And while we're talking about attitude, take every chance that you get to sing the praises of the penetrator who delivered you the ball. Even during the game, point him or her out immediately after you score. Be sure to mention them in the team meeting or the TV interview. In the next game, if that player has to decide which side of the floor to penetrate, whose side do you think he'll come to? Yours, of course. Have this attitude. If they shared the ball, then you share the glory. If they passed you the ball, then pass back the credit. I promise you that you'll see even more passes and more scoring opportunities being passed your way.
Chapter 6. Set a ball screen to score.
Here's your chance to do something good for a teammate and get rewarded for it. Go set a pick on the defender of the ball with every intention of helping your teammate to get open. And more times than not, you'll be rewarded with a good chance to score. Hey, Karl Malone scored over 36,000 points in the pros, and about half of those started with him setting a screen for a teammate. 99% of every offense you'll ever run will have a ball screen in it at some point. Even those who are only vaguely familiar with basketball know what a pick and roll is. It's about as old as the game itself. You should know every possible way to score from something so common and something that occurs so often. And contrary to what you might think, you, the screener, have as much of a chance to score as your teammate with the ball. The bottom line, setting the screen on the ball is a great skill without the ball to get you points. Now, just like passing and standing was a bad habit we had to break in Chapter 3, here in Chapter 6, we have to break the bad habit of picking and doing nothing. You must develop the mindset that there's no such term as simply pick or screen in basketball. The word is always followed by an action like pick and roll, or pick and flare, or even slip the screen. And so our overriding principle in this chapter is set the screen, read the defense, and move where you can receive the ball.
Chapter 6 Contents. On your way to screen, score. How to set the ball screen. Reading defense to score. Screener summary. On your way to screen, score.
Read your defender on the way to setting the screen. If your defender anticipates a switch, then he may begin to cheat early. This creates an easy read. If you can see the basket over your inside shoulder, then your defender is cheating, leaving you an open path to the goal. Slip the screen. Maybe the term should be skip the screen. Forget about screening and cut directly to the basket.
How to set the ball screen.
Land in a 2-foot hop with your feet shoulder width apart. This is a reminder to be still and not set a moving screen. Straddle the defender's foot so that your shoulders and his shoulders form the letter T. Avoid moving your arms or your hips when you set the screen. It's a foul. To ensure that you don't use your arms, grab your own wrist and lock your arms down. Or consider using one arm down, one arm up, and squeeze your elbows together. You can protect your groin, your chest, and even your mouth. Sprint to screen. Getting there quickly gives your defender and the defender of the ball less time to communicate with each other and make early adjustments. If possible, approach the defender of the ball from directly behind for 2 reasons. First, he cannot see you coming in his peripheral vision. Now when you set the screen, you have the element of surprise on your side. And second, you can read any adjustment made by the defender on the ball and change your angle at the last moment. As an example, if your teammate tries to drive to the right and his defender adjusts to stop the drive, then you can quickly set your screen at an angle that allows the ball to go left.
Reading the defense.
If you don't make the defense adjust, then you haven't set a good screen. Let me say that another way for emphasis. You'll know you've set a successful screen if you make the defense adjust.
Read number 1.
If you set a good screen, then one of the adjustments by the defense is to switch. This is a scoring opportunity for you, the screener, if you can seal and roll properly to the basket. Now, I could tell you to reverse pivot, but there's an easier way to teach you that gets 2 birds with 1 stone. Here it is. Never break eye contact with the ball, and you'll wind up rolling correctly. Why does this work? First of all, you need to read what the ball handler is doing anyway, so why take your eyes off him or her? Second, if you never take your eyes off the ball, you're forced to open up correctly while reading your teammate the entire time. Now, if you stay low and wide, you'll make a proper seal, and with the defender on your back, you can safely receive the pass for the score.
Read number 2.
Besides rolling to the basket, you, the screener, must be able to spot a flare opportunity. Here's the read. If both defenders stop the ball from getting to the basket, then the screener must flare away from the action to create space and prepare to catch the flare pass. Get your body prepared for the shot ahead of time.
Puskas e Bodiroga, se giocano loro il pick and roll cambiano, gli altri no. E Puskas e Bodiroga sono rientrati così come anche Dueñas.
Il Papalucas está en el banco. Penetra Garbajosa.
Read number 3.
Sometimes the defense is successful. They stop the ball from penetrating and prevent the screener from rolling or flaring. Don't give up. Be prepared to immediately rescreen. See if the defense can handle the screen 2 times in a row and at a different angle. You, of all players, should be eager to rescreen. Doing so will give you another chance to score.
Summary for the ball screener.
To summarize the fundamentals for the screener, if your defender cheats to help or lags behind, slip the screen. Straddle the defender's leg and get the good angle. Keep your feet still and lock your position. Keep eye contact with the ball and read the situation. Approach from behind when possible. If your pick is successful, then roll to the basket. If there's good ball penetration, then be ready to flare. Counter successful defense with an immediate rescreen.
Chapter 7. Scoring with screens away from the ball.
of all the skills in the game of basketball, the techniques in this chapter might be the ones that get the least amount of attention and the least amount of practice. Most players never see them in a pickup game or on the street. The only time a player might see them is in an organized practice or game, and many times only one or two of the 4 scoring options are emphasized. Now, just because that's the case doesn't make it the rule. You can and should use these skills in your pickup games because you'll score more points. In fact, see what happens to your 3-on-3 game when you have the rule that the player with the ball can only dribble once. Now, instead of standing and watching the player with the ball go one-on-one, the 2 players without the ball must learn how to screen and cut for each other. Suddenly, all 6 players are playing the game instead of just 2. Sooner or later, you'll reach a level where the defense is so good that you have to use a screen away from the ball just to get open. Now, I don't know about you, but simply getting open has never excited me. Getting open to score, however, is another matter. These screens might occur on the ball side or on the weak side, or neither if the ball's in the middle of the floor. You may be in the low post breaking out or on the perimeter making a basket cut. You might be receiving the screen or setting the screen. You'll have to keep an eye on your defender, the defender of the screen, and the ball. This chapter will require you to use everything you've learned up to this point. The development of the skills in this chapter will truly separate you from the majority of players. The first half of this chapter details how to score as the cutter when someone else is setting the screen for you. I'm going to take one type of screen, the down screen, and teach you how to read and counter all the ways that the defense will try to stop you. Once we've established clear-cut reads and principles for beating the defense using the down screen, we'll quickly and efficiently apply those same reads and principles to the other 3 types of screens, the back screen, flare screen, and away screen. Then, in the second half of the chapter, we'll look at 3 principles for scoring as the screener.
Scoring as a cutter, the down screen.
The down screen is coming from above the cutter. The screen is going to be set here. The desired spot for the cutter to receive the ball and shoot is here. The screener always sets his screen with his back pointing to the primary spot where the cutter wants the ball. If the screen works as planned, the cutter will be open in this primary spot.
Game examples. Cutter principle number 1.
The first thing for the cutter to do is set his man up to be screened. In this case, he takes his defender below the line of the screen. If you're already inside or near the basket, then your defender is already below the line of the screen. Now, there's no need to be in a hurry. You can take your defender slowly into the screen. If he cheats toward the screen, use a change of speed to cut to the basket for a layup. Watch the cutter in this clip use the thread of the basket cut to set his defender up. He sees his defender cheating and makes a hard step toward the basket. If his defender did not respond, he would continue this cut and be shooting a layup. Instead, the cutter uses this threat to hang his defender on the down screen. Perhaps this is a good time to emphasize a change of speeds that all players should use. Rick Majerus says that all players should have 3 different speeds, and a player like John Stockton had 5. Consider that when you come off these screens. Set up your defender with 1 speed and come off the screen with another speed.
Cutter principle number 2.
If the defender plays you honest and blocks your cut to the basket, then once you're both below the screen, plant, change directions, and use the screen. When you get shoulder to shoulder with your screener, you've reached the read spot, the second stage of using the screen.
Cutter principle number 3.
When you reach the read spot, shoulder to shoulder with the screener, you cannot focus only on the ball. Your eyes might be on the ball, but your peripheral vision, along with all of your awareness, must be on your defender and the defender of the screen. It's at the read spot that you will read the defense and choose the proper cut.
4 fundamental types of defenders and the moves to counter them.
Let's stop here and examine the defense, because reading your defender begins with understanding how your defender will try to beat the screen.
How to counter the hugger.
The hugger will hold on to you and try to squeeze between you and the screen. Prevent this by going shoulder to shoulder or shoulder to hip with your screener. Doing so will hang your defender on the screen as planned, and you'll be open in the primary spot. At the read spot, change your speed, cut hard, show target hands, catch and pivot square up on your inside foot, or get square in the air and land on 2 feet. You can also set a trap by letting the hugger win the space and lead you past the screen. Just when the hugger thinks he's won the position, reverse your cut and use the screen in the opposite direction. In this case, the down screen quickly becomes a back screen.
How to counter the puppy dog.
The puppy dog will imitate his namesake and follow you right on your heels. The puppy dog's goal is to first avoid any contact with the screen, and then after he's cleared the screen, try to make up the ground and get to your primary position. At the read spot, when you see him or feel him following right behind you, change speed and curl hard to the basket. Show your target hand toward the goal early to help your passer know to lead you toward the basket. A layup may not be possible, but the curl will still create enough space to get off your jump shot.
How to counter the slider.
Some defenders will attempt to slide over the screen and deny you regardless of which side of the screen you try to cut. Many times their back is to the ball as they concentrate on reading your cuts and avoiding the screen. With this position, your defender can take away 3 of your cuts: the primary spot, the curl, and the basket cut. But the good news is there's a 4th option for you. At the read spot, push off the screen and fade to the corner. And I mean to literally push your own teammate. This will help you change the angle of your cut, and it should inform a smart screener to reposition his angle slightly to hinder your defender's recovery. Raise your target hand as a signal to the passer. If the pass is on target, then you can catch in a hop and fire. If the pass is behind you or over your head, then go after it and drag a foot to shorten the shot. Step up, get square, and read. You should be open to shoot, but a bad pass might give your defender time to recover, and you'll need to read his closeout. Watch the cutter fade from the screen in these examples.
How to counter the switch.
The good thing about the switch is that oftentimes you'll hear it before you see it. If there's a switch, it means that you and your teammate did a good job, and your defender's only chance at stopping you is to get help from his teammate, the defender of the screen. If you hear a switch or see the switch, then continue your cut away from the screen. The scoring opportunity has also switched to your screener, who should be rolling to the goal, something we'll dive into at the end of this chapter. Now, same reads, different screens.
Scoring is a cutter, the back screen.
The back screen starts from inside and goes out to the perimeter. The primary scoring opportunity is a layup for the perimeter player, so the screener has his back to the goal. If you're the screener, don't initiate the contact with the cutter's defender. If you do, he can adjust his position ahead of time. Instead, let the cutter bring his defender to your screen. A small V-cut can move your defender just enough to give your back screener a good angle. In this clip, the rear cut is faked, back screen set, and a tight front cut hangs the defender on the screen. And vice versa. If you're denied ball side, then make a rear cut. With a back screen, your primary threat is a layup. Let's look at each of the ways your defender can play the back screen and how you should react.
How to counter the hugger.
If the defender hugs you, then at the read spot, change the rear cut to a front cut. Swim over the hugger and go shoulder to shoulder with your screen. And you have a second option with the hugger. Let him lead you below the screen. Let him think that his strategy has worked. Reverse your cut and the back screen has become a down screen.
How to counter the puppy dog.
If he puppy dogs you and there's no help from his teammate, then you still get the ball for a layup. The puppy dog defense can only be successful on the back screen if the defender of the screener helps until the puppy dog recovers. If that's the case, then the screener will be open to pop out for the shot.
How to counter the slider.
Flare to counter the slider.
How to counter the switch.
If you hear a switch on the back screen, then the screener must shape up to receive the pass.
Scoring is a cutter, the flare screen.
A flare screen is set by a perimeter player on a perimeter player. The screener faces the ball because his back points the way to the cutter's primary spot.
How to counter the hugger.
Set up the hugger with a short V-step and scrape him off by going shoulder to shoulder with your screener. The pass is going to be lobbed over the screen. If possible, catching a hop facing the goal. If you have to open up to the pass, then pivot square up for the shot or the drive read.
How to counter the puppy dog.
Curl on the puppy dog.
Game examples. Curl the puppy dog. How to counter the slider.
The slider will turn his back to the basket as he tries to slide behind the screen. Your counter is to stop and step back behind the screen for the shot.
How to counter the switch.
Come back to the ball on the switch. Your screener should be slipping to the goal.
Scoring is a cutter, the away screen.
The away screen in this section is shown as a perimeter-to-perimeter screen, but the action could be in the post area as well. The ball is on the other side of the floor from you, and the screen is coming to you in an east-west direction. Your primary scoring spot is here, again where the back of the screener is facing.
How to counter the hugger.
V-cut to the basket to set up your defender and go shoulder to shoulder to eliminate the hugger. Or go a little wide on the screen and let the hugger get through. Change directions, rear cut, and it becomes a back screen and a layup for you.
How to counter the puppy dog.
Again, curl the puppy dog.
How to counter the slider.
Step out to counter the slider.
Game example. How to counter the switch.
A switch that occurs after contact with the screen means the screener can seal and roll to the basket. But another counter is to rescreen with a flare screen and see if the defense can handle 2 consecutive switches without leaving the slip screen open. If the switch is called early, before you get to the read spot, the screener is responsible to slip the screen toward the goal.
Scoring as the screener.
I've lost count of the number of times I've told a player to set a screen for his teammate only to watch him set the screen on the air between his teammate and his defender. On the other end of the scale, I've never had a problem teaching my players who play football in the off season to set a screen. I simply say, headhunt your teammate's defender. And someone from the other team gets knocked into the cheap seats and we're getting called for a flagrant foul. Somewhere in between is a happy medium. So, to make it clear, you are not setting the screen on your own teammate, and you're not setting the screen in an area. You're setting a screen on your teammate's defender. Your success at setting any screen away from the ball depends a lot on your angle. As I said earlier, set your screen with your back to where you want the cutter to go. This will ensure that you take the proper angle and will help your teammate know where to go. If your defender must help, then you know you've set a good screen. And if the defense must help, then you have the advantage. Good players never simply set a screen. They set a screen, read, and move. Once you've set your screen and the cutter gets to the read spot, you must watch your cutting teammate over your shoulder in order to determine where he goes. Now, instead of going through every possible option of the cutter from every possible type of screen again, I'm going to simplify your options as a screener with the following 3 principles.
3 principles for scoring as the screener.
Break opposite of your cutter. If your cutter goes to the outside, then you should roll to the inside. If your cutter breaks inside toward the goal, then you should pop to the outside.
Principle number 2.
If you hear the defense yell switch at the point of contact, then open up to the ball and try to seal your new defender behind you. Read where to go, but most of the time it's to the goal.
Principle number 3.
If you hear the defense yell switch ahead of time before you set the screen, then slip the screen by cutting to the goal. If the switch is automatic, the defense won't be calling it out loud for you to hear, but you'll notice your defender lagging behind in order to catch the cutter coming off the screen. It's the same puppy dog read when you were the cutter. If he puppy dogs you or lags behind preparing to switch, then make a corner cut and slip the screen. On a down screen, slip to the goal. On a flare screen, slip to the goal. On an away screen, slip to the goal. But the back screen is different. Slip to the ball.
Scoring as the screener summary. Have this attitude.
Some players view screening away from the ball as simply being a screener. They think, I don't have the ball, I'm not even cutting to get the ball, I'm just a screener. You must change that mindset because that's the attitude of the defense and that's what you're going to take advantage of. Think about it. The defensive team's primary focus is on the ball. Its second highest concern is the cutter who's using your screen. You, the screener, come in a distant third in the defense's mind. Smart players can take advantage of this lack of attention and set themselves up to score without the ball. I want to conclude this video with a comment to those players who have worked hard at mastering the fundamental skills of shooting, dribbling, passing, defense, and playing one-on-one, and yet still have trouble putting up the points you think you're capable of. That can be disheartening, I know from personal experience, but I've got good news. In real games, you don't have to beat every defender one-on-one the traditional way. You can just beat your defender at a certain place and at a certain time without the ball. And if you do it well, you can use your one-on-one skills against a recovering, out-of-position defender. But what if you're already the top scorer on your team? Well, everyone, regardless of how skilled they are with the ball, will eventually run into the great defender who can shut them down on one particular night. Now, just because this great defender can stop you when you have the ball does not necessarily mean he or she can guard you without the ball. How good are they at defending the give and go? Can they deny you and at the same time handle all the options of a down screen, back screen, or flare screen? When you set a screen on the ball, can they help their teammate without leaving you open? Yeah, they're good at defending you once you have the ball, but what's their skill level when it comes to guarding you without the ball? Mastering the techniques on this video will make a good player great and a great player unstoppable. And since so few players have any skills without the ball, Mastering this part of the game automatically puts you in an elite class and makes you a valuable commodity to your team. Good luck from everyone at Better Basketball. All right, here we go. If the defender puts his arm under yours, you can use the armpit clamp and accomplish the same thing. I'm sorry. You got me thinking about this armpit thing, man. All right, here we go. If the defender puts his arm under yours, you can use the armpit clamp and accomplish the same thing. Dadgummit. All right, here we go. You get tired, you get silly, you know.
There's nothing funny about basketball video.
I know, dadgummit. There's nothing funny about screens away from the ball. If we don't do this right, it could affect the world economy. Armpit. What a nasty word.